What's up, everybody? Doug Lane here, Fast Lane Car Care. Getting ready to peel some tint off of this Mustang. Luckily for us, it's just the back window and the windshield strip. This is one of my favorite colors. You can't see it, but over there is a little tear. Guess it was a Florida car, but the whole point of this video is, I see a lot of times people in the different Facebook groups always talk about, like, there'll be somebody that wants to remove some tint from their car and they say, oh, just trash bag it, black bag it. Well, when you have a day like today, trash bag method's not going to work. It's in the 50s, it's cloudy, it's raining, it's forecasted to rain pretty much all day, off and on. So I could sit this out here for 4 hours. It's not going to do a damn thing. That's why you need a steamer. So I'm going to get the camera set up. Then I'm going to go get the steamer and all that stuff. And guys, it's just a cheap Walmart garment steamer. It's nothing. You don't have to have a, super expensive Jiffy steamer or any of that really nice stuff like that. Literally a $50 steamer will save your life. So much easier when you can control the heat. I mean, if you live in a warmer climate, southern climate, black bag method will certainly work. I'm not saying that it won't work. It's just not reliable, especially up here in the north. It's just, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's raining. You're going to call the customer and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't remove your tint today because it's cloudy. Craziness. So I'm gonna hit the door so we don't have to listen to this. Get the steamer ready and then get everything set up, guys, and I'll bring you back and we'll get to it. Okay, let's try this again. Got the steamer in here. I got bath towel on the deck lid instead of my good dash towels. And I do that because if these things get glue and stuff on them and they end up, the glue, the tint glue really doesn't wash out. So I don't feel bad about throwing away these old, basically rags. I don't want to throw away my good dash towels. Let's see, another thing I said, I use, probably won't be able to see it, but I use a yellow razor blade. It's a plastic blade, safety scraper. I've heard it called a lot of different things, and they work really well because if you use a regular razor blade, they tend to want to cut the tint, and then you can't get a good peel on it. Looks like we're going to leave some tint behind and pretty much all the glue, so that's great. Not really what we want. And I have one of I got another bath towel in here. It's covering me up because you're gonna get dripped on, and it sucks with that hot water. So yeah. Okay. You can save a lot of time, and you could start prepping this glass. Like, you could do your dry shrink prep and all that stuff. I'd like just peeling all the tint first. That way it's a lot easier to see if I leave behind any glue and get everything perfectly clean. And, get all the tint and all that stuff removed. And then I go ahead and just proceed as normal with the shrink. Another thing I did in here, guys, is I took some panel guard, since I took the side panels off here. That panel plastic stuff that Matt sells. And I went ahead and covered up the airbags just out of you know, safety precaution, I suppose you could say. It's already showing signs of rust and corrosion, but, you know, at least we did our part. All right. I don't think I've ever had tint just straight rip in half on me. I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, there have been cars where they've, you know, two-pieced the back window and that's happened. I don't think I've ever had one just straight rip. So that... There's a line with every tint that you're gonna try to remove, like a temperature, you know? You want to find a sweet spot. And that can be tricky to do. Man, I really didn't want to have to pull the deck lid out. We'll see what happens. It's just really, really brittle stuff. On these cars, if you want to take the deck lid out, you gotta take like the side panels, like where your armrest basically is for the back seat. You gotta take out the rocker covers, the little, you know, by the door jamb. You gotta take. It's not really hard to do. I've got the time to do it. This car's actually gonna be here for a few days, so I mean, if I have to, I will. I just didn't really want to. I had other things I wanted to do the next couple days, but if we gotta take a little bit longer than we normally would to get it to come out right, then that's what we'll do. But we'll just gear up and just kind of see what we can do here. I don't know. You guys know, if you've followed me for a while, I try to look at the bright side of everything, and I guess the right side is that once we get this old pin off, you know, the back window is really not that hard to do. So, like, that's a good thing, right? Get rid of this. So basically, I don't know if you can see that, but it's coming off in layers. The hard coat is wanting to let go of the tinted part, and it looks like we're also leaving behind some glue. Have to slow and steady, and we're about to the end of what we can do with what we're doing here. Go ahead and shut the steamer off for now. Oh yeah, looks like for sure we got some tint left behind. This is why I charge by the hour for tint removal, guys, and I think after the first of the year, you know, because as I make this video, we're at almost October. So just a couple months in the year left. I like to do any price changes or whatever. I like to do that the first of the year. I mean, obviously, for you guys starting out, statistically, that's who watch my videos. Guys that are wanting to get into tint, or, you know, whether or not it's for themselves or if they want to, you know, work at a shop or just do their own car or whatever. But I say all that to, you know, give you guys that maybe aren't interested in doing that, like why I'm talking about it. So anyway, if you're getting screwed on something, like, let's say you're not charging for removals and it's, you know, July, right? Middle of the year, busy season. Guys, you're the boss. If you are in business for yourself, you're the boss. You can just decide. You don't have to wait until the first of the year. If you're getting screwed on something, you know, just, hey, make a Facebook post, whatever means you use to advertise on, and say, hey, effective of this day, we're charging extra for tint removal, you know, or whatever. We're charging extra to go mobile, you know, whatever. Because, you know, you're the boss. You get to make that decision. You don't have to take a loss day after day or time after time or job after job or whatever. You know, you can do what you got to do. And in fact, you have to do what you got to do. Right? If you're not making any money, then what's the point in being in business? So... Sheesh. I like to wait towards the end of the year. I mean, I have made decisions like deposits. I started requiring deposits for new customers pretty much middle of the year. Just pinned a post to the you know, my Facebook page. So that's, if you actually go there, that's one of the first things you're going to see. So I'm just kind of nerdy. I like to really look at the data. My CRM, my customer relations software, lets me track a lot of stuff. So I get to, I like, when it gets slower, you know, November, December, starts getting towards Christmas, people are spending money for Christmas, business slows down. That's when I like to take a look at all the data. I like to look at how many jobs I've done, what types of jobs I've done, you know, what's the most popular. And then mine allows me to track my time spent on jobs too. So I like to look and say, okay, well, if it's taken me this long to do this type of vehicle or whatever, then, you know, we need to change the price or what have you. Yeah, we got a bunch of that, but I think we're gonna be able to make this work. Like I said, if it doesn't work, you know, if we can't get what we need to get, all right there, glass cleaner. If we can't get what we need to get, we can just tint it, let it sit for a while, and then untint it, peel our new tint off. But we'll see. But yeah, sorry guys, I'm like a squirrel, man. My brain just, it never stops. I'm always going like 100 miles a minute, so yeah, come on off of there, buddy. So yeah, I think next year, I'll tell you guys, I think I'm gonna go to 100 an hour for removing tint. Because one, I don't do a ton of removals, and two, excuse me, I really don't care if I do removals. Like if somebody has old tint, you know, it just, you run into issues like this where it takes a long time. It can be difficult to schedule because, you know, most of the time I can strip a whole car in an hour. But then sometimes you run into cases like this where you can't, you know? So, like right now I charge 40 an hour, and that's cool. But when you factor in, you know, using ATR, like that stuff, I can't remember what it is per gallon, but you factor in using ATR on your removals to get rid of all your glue and stuff, well, that stuff's pretty expensive. So how much of that are you using per removal? And then, you know, plus your time spent. Well, I try to make more than $40 an hour, guys. I'm not going to be shy about it. Generally, I make a bit more than $40 an hour gross. And that's the other thing that a lot of new guys starting out don't understand, is just because you're grossing some money, by the time you pay your insurance, your material costs, you know, your utilities, your slip solution, you do all this stuff, you pay all this stuff out, you know, that $40, let's say you're making $40 an hour gross, you know, that $40 dwindles away pretty quick. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to take the blade, I'm going to back blade it. I'm going to like try to pull this tint up. This is obviously the most exciting part of tinting, you know, peeling old tint. It's amazing. It's exhilarating. Really gets my juices going, you know, just really like getting up in the morning. Say, man, I wish I had more tint removals. Psych. So the steamer helps keep everything moisturized, and so your tint is less brittle. I'm not gonna say it's not brittle at all. It's just, generally speaking, less brittle. It holds together better and it doesn't tear and stuff like this stuff did, which, you know, just because it helps doesn't mean it's gonna work every time or whatever. So I think I'm just gonna fire up the steamer, let it steam right here for a minute. Guys, it's pretty boring. I think I've covered everything I really want to cover. Next step, once I get all this stuff off, is I'm gonna hit it with some ATR. I'm gonna hit it with a scrub pad, with a steel wool pad. I'm just gonna go over it as many times as it takes to get every little speck of tint, every little speck of glue off of every little area. I mean, it's not rocket surgery or anything like that. It's pretty simple. So I'll bring you guys back along once we get to the finished product, or, you know, I don't know if anything crazy exciting happens. Something unexpected perhaps. But all right, guys, I'll see you after a bit. All right, guys, we are back. It didn't actually take as long as I thought it was going to. I was kind of feeling not really defeated. I was just kind of like, man, you know, I don't know. I might have screwed myself on this deal, but actually, it wasn't that bad. So those couple little patches that you saw, what I was able to do is just put the steam back on them, and then I was able to take the razor blade and just kind of hook it in between the defroster lines and just kind of peel it off. It really wasn't that big of a deal. Just kind of heat it up and peel what you could, and then as it started to cool down, you just heat it up again, and like I said, it wasn't really a big deal. Then of course, you know, it's just a matter of getting all the glue off, which ATR makes quick work of that. And I'm really, really thorough about it. So what I do is, what I did first was glass cleaner along the top, just because I didn't want the ATR raining down on me if I could help it. But the glass cleaner, and also another reason is because sometimes glass cleaner, like spray layer or whatever, is, you know, it'll just take the glue off just fine. Just depends on what type of tint it is. So I like to use that first because it's a lot safer. You know, you don't really have to worry about getting any overspray on any interior pieces or anything like that. It'll just, you know, it's not really a big deal. ATR is more aggressive, and there are other adhesive removers that are pretty aggressive stuff. You don't want to leave them on the glass to dry and, you know, that kind of thing. So I like to try the glass cleaner first. It worked, but not, you know, I'd be here all day trying to spray and scrub and swipe and spray scrub. So I did talk a little bit. There's a couple big gaps between defroster lines, so I went ahead and took the razor and just kind of pushed that glue off and, you know, absorbed it with a shop towel, the blue, you know, paper towel deals. And for the bottom half, from like probably here down, just spray it with ATR, let it sit for a minute. And then I took a scrub pad, which really sucked because I had one that had some glue residue on it yesterday, and like I knew for like a week or so I had to do this car, but for whatever reason, didn't even think to save that scrub pad. I just chucked it, so then I had to dirty up another scrub pad. So scrub it real good, and then just use your shop towels, whatever, your paper towel deals, and, you know, wipe it all off, see what you got, spray it, let it sit for a minute. I probably did that 3 times, let it sit, get all this off, and then there's a couple of spots I had to razor blade, a little bit of like a couple of patches of tint, little slivers or whatever, get those out of there, and then I scrub with a clean scrub pad. I go ahead, hit the whole thing with glass cleaner, because ATR will leave a little bit of a residue on the glass, which obviously you don't want that left behind. So hit it again with the scrub pad and glass cleaner, and then I wipe the whole thing off with a microfiber instead of the shop towels. The microfibers are more absorbent, and then that gets rid of that hazy residue and all that stuff, and it lets you get a really good idea of what you got going on. And then, now, here we are, we're ready to tint our back glass as normal. So, we'll follow the same process I do every single other car, pretty much. I'm going to shrink it. We're going to shrink. Then we're going to go in the inside, we're going to scrub it with a steel wool pad, SOS pad, and squeegee, all that good stuff, just like we would pretty much any other car. When I first started tinting, I had a lot of problems with these Mustangs up in the corner. I know a lot of other people do too. So one thing you can do is just kind of do the corners first. And I don't know if you can see this, but this ripple's trying to go this way. The ripple tells you where the film wants to go. So that's why I just pushed that, and look, it got rid of some of my film. Another mistake I see a lot of people make is they want to hit this and then immediately run it down with their card, and you don't want to do that. Just give the tint like a second or two, like, you know, 3 seconds to just kind of relax. Because even after you remove the heat, you can still see it. Even after you remove the heat, a lot of times it's still doing its thing, so just let it relax a bit, and you're gonna have a lot better time, you know, not creasing the film. It's gonna save you a lot of frustration. And this particular film is GeoShield's 20% Pro Classic, which is a color stable dyed product. This car is not getting the side windows done or the quarter windows. It's just literally the windshield strip and the back glass. So no point in using carbon or ceramic because we have no idea what's on the rest of the car. Would be cool. I guess next thing I should get is one of those those meters that meters infrared rejection and all that stuff. So that way I could get a better idea of whether or not it's a carbon or a ceramic or whatever. I'm gonna guess, for not being that old, this is a 17. I'm guessing is how it's titled because it was built. It was built in November of 16, which a lot of times, you know, that means they're titled as the next model year. So, being that it's only a handful of years old and the back window is looking in that kind of shape, dang, I'm gonna guess it was probably a dyed film, but who knows? Who knows? Oh, heat gun came unplugged. All right. I don't remember if I said this earlier or not, but we're just matching the side window, so I already hit this with the light meter last night. Already hit up the light meter, and 20% is going to be the closest match. So, obviously that's what we're doing here. And get some light set up in here. 20% is not super dark, so we shouldn't really have too much of an issue. Except for I just shined that thing in my face, and now I'm blind, so, you know. Guys, I'm sorry about that heat gun if it bothers you. Like, I don't know, man. That's the most annoying thing to me. Is that thing just runs and runs and runs until it cools off. Like I've said in other videos, it's supposed to make it last longer, but it better last a lot longer. And that's why I have the date written on it when I got it, because if it doesn't last more than, like, honestly, with as annoying as it is, it better last 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, I'm not going to be very happy, because it's freaking annoying. So, since I didn't end up pulling the deck lid, I'm going to cut this relatively tight on the bottom. This one's pretty loose. Like some of these, the deck lid will actually be touching like up in here, and you got to kind of push down, and then usually right here it's kind of difficult to push down. This one, it's not the case. It seems like, one, it's not touching the glass, so that's great, and then two, it is pretty flexible. So if I do need to push it down and tuck the film, it's not going to be a big deal. We've already checked all that. And then maybe here in a second I'll show you guys why I opted to not pull the deck lid. This like kind of sucks. I like doing the kind of like having the Astro light on the outside here, but thank God, man. I hate that. I hate that constant. Like, I don't know why. Like, it doesn't bother me when I'm actually shrinking, but then when I turn it off and it's still running, super annoying. Super duper annoying. Got a pretty big border up here across the top, so not too worried about that. I don't like cutting my patterns super wide, if that makes sense. I just want them, I don't know, just the less film you have to try to tuck in and all that stuff, just the better off you're gonna be most of the time. So, you know, problem is you gotta be really careful that you don't, you know, you make a little mistake or whatever, and then you're done. Make a little mistake, your blade walks on you, you cut into your workspace, you're donezo, you gotta start over. But, you know, with experience, practice, whatever, blah, 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 you can minimize a lot of that. Bingo bango, that's what I'm talking about. Hi guys, you see me in here? Alright, so got the battery switched out, all that good stuff. You can see I still got my bath towel in here. One thing I did do is I went ahead and swept up this deck lid of the little tint shavings and stuff, and I switched out my towel. I switched out the white one for this, I don't know, tan one, whatever. I just did that just to keep any kind of little bits of tint junk or whatever that might be on there. Just keep that from ending up in my new clean tint, right? So, not rocket surgery here. Ooh, man, this lip solution's smelly. I mixed fresh solution today, but obviously it must have had a little bit of stuff from the other day sitting in it. But anyway, we'll purge all that out, no big deal. So, as you saw a minute ago, I got the inner trim panels off. Honestly, that's the sides are the most difficult part, in my opinion, on these, because most of the time, you know, one side's like damn near touching the glass, one side's not. Sometimes they both are, especially like down here in the corner. Sometimes they're pinched and actually pushing on the glass. So taking those out takes about maybe 10 minutes the first time you do it, because there's a little plastic, like, it's not a rope obviously, but some little attachment gizmo that when the airbag blows off, it keeps the panel from, you know, smacking you in the face basically, if you're in the back seat. And so it's got a unique way of securing to the plastic panel. So the first time you deal with it, you know, you're gonna have to figure that out. But then once you know, figure out how you need to move the panel and all that good stuff, it's really not a big deal. All right. So I thought I had everything I needed in here. However, I didn't get my bulldozer. So you know, that's not gonna work for me, because I'm gonna need it. But since I have these little side pieces off, I get to clean, you know, way past where my film's gonna go, which is something I'm definitely not upset about. I'm a firm believer that you cannot have a window too clean. And we're gonna go ahead and hit this with another microfiber towel, just because microfibers catch and absorb more moisture and dirt than the Blue Shop towel things, paper towels, whatever. And yeah, that's what I want. I want to get rid of all that junk that just came off the defrosters, which honestly shouldn't be very much since I've already scrubbed this like 3 times. But yeah, and we want to get the moisture off. Make sure, you know. And honestly, you could, you know, because again, I'm just operating on the assumption most of you guys are starting out, still learning. If that's the case for you, what you may want to do is you may want to do all this before you put down your dry shrink prep. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but it's just a little foggy, you know what I mean? Like that residue from the dry shrink prep, the soap residue, it does make it a little hazy, so you can miss little bits of adhesive and stuff. Like I said, if you're learning, even if you're not learning, even if you've been doing this for a while, it's easy to miss something like that. I'm just pretty comfortable. I'm not gonna say confident, because then I'll find some BS in my film, 100%. But I'm pretty comfortable in my technique. This is not my first rodeo. I've done this a bazillion times. But we're gonna go ahead and mist her down one more time. And now we're also gonna tuck this little plastic up in here so it doesn't try to fall down on me. But now we're gonna shimmy our way back out of this dang back seat. Oh. We're gonna get our bulldozer, and we're gonna go ahead and get our reach, just because I don't really, once I start installing, I really don't want to have to get back out here and get back in, which that's the worst part about these cars. I think if I was just gonna install, I'd probably just leave the seats up, but the seats are already down, so I don't know, guys. We're just gonna send it. We could flip the seats back up. I don't know. Probably just do it this way. That way we get a little ab workout in, you know, trying to do our 5-minute crunch, holding ourselves up and stuff. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll flip the seat up. I don't know. Guys, I just don't know. So we got pretty much to the bottom where we can't really get our hand in there with the paint clean. So now we're just going to bulldoze. We're going to go straight down at just a little bit of an angle. We're holding our bulldozer just a little bit of an angle so we don't have water come off the side and contaminate where we just squeegeed, essentially. And push that down to the corner. And I'm wiping my edge off every time with my fingers. I don't like using a microfiber for this or a paper towel because both of those always lint just a little bit. And so what you're risking doing is getting little microfiber or paper towel lints on the glass where you start your stroke. Now, I know a lot of people do it that way, and I'm sure it works for them, or else they wouldn't keep doing it, right? But it just, I don't know, it seemed like an easy way to avoid contamination. This way, all I have to really worry about is the potential of a couple dead skin cells getting on my bulldozer. and probably not a big deal. Because, you know, your hands, I don't know, probably don't have a ton of dry skin on them, or dead skin. Because if you're like me, you wash them once in a while. Oh no. Now, if you're a mechanic and you've got dirty, greasy hands, well, then maybe a microfiber is going to work better for you. Absolutely no different process than I normally do on 99.9% of other back windows. Douche the bottom down. Try not to get too much at the top, but obviously you want to saturate it. Now I'm ever so gently going to throw my hose in there with a little bit of slack and wipe this hand off because I got a little bit of junk on it from the hose, right? And then what we're going to do, we just wiped it off with a microfiber. Just go ahead and give it a little spritz. Mist this side down. Take our squeegee. Like I do on literally every other window, I like to make a couple passes. I want to flush any dirt that's hanging around the edges or the top. I want to get all that off of there. I'll slip that bad boy right there. Give her another little spritz. Another reason I'm using a lot of water in like this particular situation is, like I just said a minute ago, I put fresh slip in here, but your hose is always going to have some residual unless you flush it with water and all that stuff, which I did not do because I don't really think it's necessary. 25-foot hose isn't going to hold a ton of slip solution. And the slip solution wasn't necessarily bad. It just was a couple days old, and with Tint slip and Fusion All Tight both, I've found that they kind of break down a bit. What we got there? It looks like dangerous. There's a little bit of tint where, I don't know, butchered my cut apparently. But anyway, Tint slip and which is GeoShield slip solution and Fusion All Tight both kind of break down after a couple days. You'll get these little floaties in your tank. Now, I run dual filters, so my filters will capture it, but I have also noticed that when that starts to happen, even though your floaties get captured, your slip solution just doesn't really slip like it should. And so it's a good idea to either not make more than you can use in a couple days time, or get rid of that in a couple days. I'd say 3 days is the max. So like if I make solution on a Monday, Wednesday, end of day, it don't matter if I got a gallon left or 3 ounces, I'm throwing it out. I'm getting rid of it. So that's just me. Now when I use soap, dish soap, Members Mark, Sam's Club knockoff, Dawn, I didn't have that problem. The only thing I had a problem with was in the winter time when your temperatures start to get down into the 40s and 50s in the shop, like overnight or whatever, then you would start having issues with, it would like gel up, it would get gooey, and kind of the same deal, but you wouldn't get big floaties, it would just clog your filter up. But like I said, not really producing chunks, just, I don't know, it's kind of difficult to explain. But everybody pretty much knows, all the manufacturers now are saying to stay away from the new soaps because they're so strong. It's bad for the film over time. Honestly, the big reason I switched or got away from using soap, is because you get those clean streaks on the panel all the time when you're using soap, which then just takes extra time to deal with, and You know, GMs are really bad about streaking up, and I do a lot of Chevy trucks and SUVs. Man, do I do a lot of those now that I think about it. So it just got to the point where, you know, if you got to spend 5 or 10 minutes spraying the panel with glass cleaner and this, that, and the other to make it look presentable, get rid of your streaks, like 10 minutes a car, practically every one of them that you do, you're probably time and money ahead just to pay a little extra for a dedicated slip solution and make it stop. Now, back to our exercise here. Do our crunches. Slip that where we want it. Looks like we're plenty low enough. Maybe a little too low on that side. Like this big wrinkle right here. If you just run that over with a squeegee, you run a really good chance of ruining your film. So don't do that. You could crease it pretty easily. And you know, that's not good. So we're covered over here. Oh, we got just a little. There we go. I'm liking that, guys. That looks Gucci. Money, whatever the cool kids are saying. And so now what I want to do, I just kind of want to separate this big bubble. I'm using my pink clean because it's, you know, pretty soft and flexible. Boom, we're just going to go to about the edge. Hopefully you can see it in this video. I've tried to explain it in a couple of different videos, but sometimes the lighting doesn't really work out. But I'm going to go to about 1/2 inch or so before the edge of the film. And what I've noticed is that lets the glass just kind of drain out on its own. It lets the water just kind of drain out. Since you're not pushing it down, it just kind of gets rid of contaminants, man. Because when you push it down and it tries to suck back up, that's when you really get your junk that gets sucked back up. So if you just kind of push it over and just kind of let gravity do the work, you can save yourself a little headache. I've noticed I've gotten cleaner edges that way. And the thing is, it's not going to work super well on every make and model. This car, it's not working, you know, terribly great because of the angle of the glass. You know, it wants to run like that, so not gonna feel too bad about pushing it out. But I saw Rodney McClure do that. Guys, he's another great resource if you haven't found him yet. For tint, and I ain't gonna lie, he kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I first found him. Always talking about like, oh, this is the best, this is the best, this is what you gotta do, if you don't do it this way, you suck, kind of deal. And you know, that's his experience with certain things, and he is no doubt good at what he does. My thing is, though, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What works really great for this person in this environment with this film may not work out so well for this other person in their environment and their film. So, you know, I don't know. I'm just kind of more like, I'll show you what I do, but know and understand that there may be a way that's going to work better for you. I just want to get you started. I want to get you on the right path. I want to share with you my experiences and some of the things I've learned, some of the mistakes I've made in this industry, so that way perhaps you can avoid them and you can, you know, you can go farther faster than I did. So, pushing out that top edge real good. So now I was talking earlier about potentially having to retint this, like tint it, let it dry, and then peel it so I can get the rest of that bull crap off there. And yeah, I just don't think that's going to be necessary today. I think we got it. I think it's going to work out pretty good. I think we're going to get a halfway decent result anyway, you know. Boom, boom, boom. And do not hesitate to go over this bottom section 2 or even 3 times. The bulldozer is a phenomenal tool for back windows. In my opinion, it is 100% necessary. But its weakness, its pros are its weakness, if that makes sense. The pro is that it's flexible, right? You can get it in behind third brake lights. You can do a lot of, you know, you can do a lot of stuff with it. But that's also its weakness, is it doesn't push as much moisture as some other tools. So, you know, you may want to go over it 2 or 3 times just to try to get as much as you can. I'm not super duper worried about that because, you know, the problem is leaving a bunch of moisture down at the bottom, especially. Like, let's say, like right now it's 70 degrees in here, but it's 63 outside currently. And it's also, you know, I don't know, it was raining. I'm not sure if it still is, but it's forecasted to rain on and off. So what could happen is, let's say it's 70 degrees in here, like on a day that we'd have the air conditioner running, but it's 80, 85 outside and nice and sunny. We leave all this moisture down in the bottom. We, let's say the customer's waiting on it. We're all done. We, you know, go over our aftercare instructions with the customer, collect payment, bada bing, bada boom, everything's going well. They pull out. That sun starts beating on it. They go home. You know, it's nice and hot. Basically, the sun starts heating up this trapped moisture and basically steams the film back off the glass because, you know, it's not fully cured yet, obviously. So customer gets home, has a little finger, or worse, perhaps the film's like just straight up peeling off the glass. And, you know, they pull it in their garage, they go inside. Perhaps it's a Friday. Now, you know, Monday morning, they go to work, blah, blah, blah. They come back out to their car. They notice their back glass is messed up. Well, now it's been a couple, 3 days. That film's stuck. You're probably not going to be able to fix it. You got to redo it. So that's why you want to get as much moisture out of there as possible. Or what I really like to do, I don't really like people to wait. I understand if it's front 2 windows or something like that. You know what I mean? That's a pretty short appointment. You know, some people just can't get a ride. Sometimes they got to wait, whatever. But in a perfect world, it's like this, and you've got a couple, 3 hours. You can sit this car outside, pull your next car in, and then you can just babysit it. You know, you get your next car done, and you go take a little gander at it. It's okay. Everything's good. This sits out in the sun for an hour, and it's all good. Well, trust me. It's set. It's not fully cured, but you're not going to have any problems with it like that. You're not going to have any little silly stuff happen. Whatever's going to happen is usually going to happen in the first 20 to 30 minutes of exposure. And that temperature shift can get you in the wintertime too. When you, like say, I'll have it 68, 70 degrees in here, but it might be, you know, it might be in the 30s outside, 20s even. So you get the car done, looking good, everything's looking fantastic. You go throw it outside in the cold weather, that temperature shift, that shock, can cause the same kind of problems, but for a different reason. Because now the glass is getting cold. Sometimes, I don't know if the film's technically trying to contract or what it's trying to do, but moral of the story is, stuff pops up, things happen, and you gotta fix it. So, if you're lucky, you know, you can sit and babysit this bad boy for a little bit. Same deal, throw it out there in the cold. I like to, when I get done, I'm completely done with the car, as far as installing, I like to go ahead and I like to start it up, obviously, let it run for a minute, and then I clean all my glass with the defroster on, the rear defroster. And usually the back glass is usually the first window I do, so it has the most time to cure. Throw that defroster on while you're cleaning the rest of your glass, and if anything pops up, you can address it right then and there before the customer ever even knows it's done. So then you hit the button, let them know that their stuff's ready. They can come and get it. You put it outside. And a lot of times, guys, I know, like, you know, customers going to tell me, oh, I can't get it until after work or whatever. So, you know, let's say I get it done at noon. I know nobody's coming after it. I know nobody's coming after it until, you know, 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever it is. So then I got plenty of time. I can leave it out there for a bit, and then I can come back and check on it. I recommend you do that. Like I said, sometimes you won't have time to do that. Customer's gonna be sitting there waiting on it. That's why we carry a lifetime warranty. At least that's why I carry it. Because at the end of the day, guys, you're installing a giant sticker. As you learn and do this job and learn more and more, you're gonna notice things that your average customer is never gonna see. And so you know, a lot of guys are chasing perfection, and that's great, but understand that if you truly get a perfect window, not a speck of contamination, you know, nothing at all that you can find wrong, like it's more so luck than skill. Like, you can get really dang close on a pretty consistent basis, but to actually pull off a perfect window, that's tough. It's really tough. Like I said, more so luck than anything. There it is, guys. It's all finished. I'll see you on the next video, guys.